I'm Peter Lozano Jr. and I will report the VRIO framework and how to sustain competitive advantage. So let's proceed. The VRIO framework. The VRIO framework is a strategic tool that helps organization to identify the resources and capabilities that gives them a sustainable competitive advantage. For example, the resources could be financial, human, organization, physical, or technological in nature. The VRIO analysis is an internal analysis that helps determine the quality and usefulness of a firm's resources and capabilities. We are now in a position to evaluate firm resource endowment and answer the question of what resource attributes underpin competitive advantage. In the resource-based model, certain types of resources are seen as a key to superior firm performance. For a resource to be a basis of a competitive advantage, it must be valuable, rare, costly to imitate, and the firm must be organized to capture a value of our resources. A framework was developed in 1991 by Jane Barney. According to him, the resource must be valuable, rare, imperfectly imitatable, and non-substitutable. A decision tree revealing competitive implications and to sustain competitive advantage only when it has resources that satisfy all the VRIO criteria. You can use this decision tree to decide if the resource capability or competency under consideration fulfills the VRIO framework or the VRIO requirements. The attributes accumulate only if a firm's managers are able to answer yes 4 times to the attribute listed in the decision tree in the resource in question, a core competency that underpin firms' sustainable competitive advantage. Like in the tree revealing, valuable, yes to rare, and yes to costly to imitate. Of course, yes to capture valuable or to capture value, and yes to sustain competitive advantage. Valuable, no to competitive disadvantage. Rare, no to competitive party. Costly to imitate, no to temporary competitive advantage, and organized to capture value, no to temporary competitive advantage. Valuable. First and foremost, resources must be valuable. Resources are valuable only when they enable a firm to achieve sustainable competitive advantage. Resources should be enable strategies, exploit opportunities, or mitigate threats. Furthermore, they should improve efficiency and effectiveness. Net present value or NPV appraisal help ascertain the quantitative value of resources. A company is at a competitive disadvantage if none of its resources are considered valuable. Rare. Secondly, resources must be rare. If only a few companies can acquire some resources, then those resources are considered rare. If many players in the industry have access to a certain valuable resources, then each of the players can exploit that resource in the same way. Then none of the players gain competitive advantage through that resources. This situation is called competitive parity or competitive equality. If a company has access to a large amount of valuable and rare resources, it is likely to have at least a temporary competitive advantage. Inimitatable or costly to imitate. Valuable and rare resources help companies to engage in strategies that other firms cannot pursue. However, this is no guarantee for long-term competitive advantage. Such resources may give company a first mover advantage, but competitors will probably try imitate these resources. Resources that are hard to costly to imitate are substitute or more valuable. However, substitute how however resources can be imperfectly imitatable due to unique historical condition. Unique historical condition, past choices influence companies' present and future strategic option. Also, causal ambiguity. This is phenomenon where competitors do not fully understand the attribution between the company's resources and the sustainable competitive advantage they offer. Competitors won't able to mirror the company's strategies because they simply don't know which resources to imitate. Social complexity. In the scenario, a company's resources rely on the strength of its social network, relationship, culture, and supplier or customer network. Hence, competitors cannot easily replicate a company's strategies because it is very hard for them to build an identical social network. Diverse factors interlinked in a complex web of social structure and relationship defined such as scenarios. Competitors can simply not imitate such as complex relationship based social structures. Organization-wide supported or organized to capture value. The resources themselves do not create any advantage for a company. To exploit the advantage and derive value, a company should appropriately organize itself. Therefore, the company should effectively assemble and coordinate its resources. Some example of these organizational components include the company's formal reporting, structure, strategic planning, and budgeting system, management control system, logistic network, etc. Without proper organization, the company cannot appropriately acquire, use, and monitor its resources. This applies even to companies with valuable, rare, and imperfectly imitable resources. Without organization, a company cannot create a sustainable competitive advantage through its resources. When all four resources attributes are present, a company has a distinctive competence that it can use to build sustainable competitive advantage. A VRIO analysis can be applied company-wide or to individual department for a well-rounded view of how each aspect of your business should position itself in the marketplace. The best time to review your VIRO is at the onset of your strategic planning process. Committing to the VIRO process and evolving your analysis over time will protect your sustained competitive advantage. How to sustain competitive advantage? It is a major driver of a long-term business value. and is what purchasers will place the most value on when looking to acquire a business. Without a sustainable competitive advantage, you risk being another Me Too business that now models along achieving less than satisfactory result. At its most basic level, there are three key types of sustainable competitive advantage. Number one is cost advantage. The business must compete on the price of others. Number two, value advantage. The business provides a differentiate offering that perceived to be a superior value. Number three, focus advantage. The business focuses on a specific market niche with a tailored offering designed especially for that segment of the market. Of course, there's a step also to how to sustain competitive advantage. Number one is to understand the market and its segment. Look for those niches that aren't well serviced by competitors and can be profitably targeted and sold to. Number two, develop an understanding of what customers really want and establish a value proposition that grabs their attention. Number three, work out the key things that you need to do really well to support and deliver the value proposition. For example, the services level, the quality, the branding price. Number four, understand what your strengths and weaknesses of core competencies are of your core competencies are, and how you can use these to innovate ways to provide value to your chosen market. And for the lastly, design your business model to support and deliver the value proposition. That's all. Thank you.